Yeah, life from rock and roll, but so you were close.
Really close. Yeah, we got a video on MTV. You did? Yeah, it was part of this competition in the Bay Area. It was back when we were on the Fox a lot. We were kind of.
What was the name of your band?
In the 80s, it was Broken Ties. In the 90s, it was Sci-Fi. That was Eric Martin's guitar player.
Sounds familiar.
Eric Martin was a big Bay Area guy. He had a band called 4 and 5. He's a guitar player. Danny Neville, who also played with somebody like Peter Gabriel. I mean, he was a big player. We had a band called Sci-Fi, and then after that was Joseph's Code, the lead man at the time. About 6 months into the band, and that was the guitar player that got Purple Tongue. But with Broken Ties, there was we got on the radio here, and this video guy, who I'm still friends with today, he heard the song, loved the song. It actually was the same song that ended up with that Gene Simmons conference. They made a best of CD. We were on that CD that went all over the place. So that was our hit. And
Where's that music at? Online?
well, that's the thing. We're putting together like a little. We have a movie. I filmed everything for years. I've got miles of everything footage. Yeah. We opened it for Bonham. That was a big deal. Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son.
Oh, really?
So John Bonham was the drummer in Zeppelin. Jason Bonham was his son.
Right.
He played in Oakland. That was probably one of our biggest shows. He was terrible. Son of John Bonham. We're like, oh.
Yeah. So you guys were like, man, you guys were.
Oh, that's what happened. So we were on the radio, and this video guy, who I now am friends with, he heard the song, called the radio station, and this band knew it was a local band. And they gave him my number. He said, I want to film you guys. MTV has this competition going on, and we should do this together. So we did. We filmed at the Phoenix Theater. It was awesome.
Damn.
You guys
got on the compilation.
Well, we got on this show. Remember back when they had the Hard 30, Hard 60? When MTV was a real like rock. MTV is nothing like it used to be. It used to be very.
It used to be music television.
Great.
Used to be music television.
Like the Tom Petty era?
Yeah, well, it was just.
Well, it's just like played music. I mean, it's like now, Jesus.
Reality shows.
Yeah, it's like it's all garbage shit.
Oh, everybody, Aerosmith.
Aerosmith was huge on there.
Everybody was learning how to make music videos. Bands hadn't done that before. And then, one of the big breakthrough videos was Run DMC with Aerosmith. That's when rap started coming out. Yeah, when they did their video together, they were in a studio. They broke the wall.
Yeah, I remember that. That was like the whole crossover.
Yeah, it was cool. So anyway, we made this video. We got into top 10 of the Bay Area. And then and this is another thing, it's just sad. We won a spot on a tour, and they were going to Rio. We're like, we're Rio. So we wrote a song called Rio. It's a great song. And then the whole thing got canceled because of all that crap that happened. Business side of things.
Yeah.
Things you have no control of. We were ready. Our banks were like,
really?
Oh yeah, it was happening until it wasn't. And it's like,
it seems like you had all these stories that happened.
Can't eat food.
Can't eat it. That's the name of the movie.
You can stand it. You can drool.
You can sit down and eat it.
One of my other big heroes who I got to meet was Steve Vai. Amazing. Probably, I would say one of the best guitar players ever. You know who Steve Vai is, Andy?
Who?
Steve Vai.
No.
Anyway, that was another case where being backstage. Actually, we were in Bad Company with another show, standing there with these friends of ours. We're standing at their bus. It's a restaurant. Right here. Get on that bus now. Like, that's why I got a warehouse, so I can park my bus. That I never got.
It's got to think big. Well, at least you know. At least you went for it.
Bigger go home. We went big.
Yeah, well, you should try.
So, you know, what was funny was probably 15 or 20 years after the band, I was reading The Bohemian.
Yeah.
I read that every week. And it was right around Christmas, and I'm reading it, and it said, it was talking about New Year's Eve shows, and it said, Rosie is playing at some place, and I was reading, I'm going, what? And then at the end, it goes, just kidding, that was 20 years ago.
And I'm going to put that in there.
Yeah, but at least we got a mention.
20.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, but it was really funny. There was somebody who worked at the paper who, like the band, thought they just put it in as a joke. I saw it and I showed it to everybody, and they go, that's funny.
You guys are big here in the county.
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah, that was rock. Joseph Scope was rock, blues rock. Sci-fi was more of a pop rock. 3-piece
Was your prog rock years, huh?
prog rock. Yeah.
You were playing Rush covers or shit like
Rush
that?
fan.
I know.
I want to see the documentary.
So that's funny. Yeah, we did a. Well, it's all in there.
So documented like shows, talking.
Oh, the show, the MTV thing. We went to LA to find a singer at one point. I don't know how we did this. We had a band here. I just left for 2 weeks. We could just play anywhere on the way. We could play right now.
Try to get in.
Yeah.
You guys like?
But we videoed it. We're in the driveway talking to the rock.
No way. Really?
Went to Michael Jackson's house.
No way. That would be funny.
It's good stuff. We were fearless.
Do you have all the old film?
It's all film.
You guys know music, no.
So what we did, we got it all captured. It's all started the project. It's all in there. We started editing. If it's ever finished, it would be like an DVD and CD.
Maybe that's
It's
what
time.
maybe that's what this is all about.
Oh, you know what happened after that? So Queen's rock in particular was really big in Europe. In Germany, they just lit up. And about 15 years ago, we almost got signed 15 years, 10 years after the band was over. Because I heard about this record. I said, I'm just going to send them our stuff. And they almost took it. I said, buy the whole thing. Whatever, you know.
They almost did it.
Like, it was so close. It was like another version. I thought they were gonna, I don't know, it was gonna be like over $30,000 or $50,000 or whatever.
They used that Elliott.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
You got some good food.
Yeah, it's real. Good music. It's solid.
So, how would you tell the story? Mix it in. How would you tell the story?
Well, I think to tell the story, it would have to be a documentary. It would have to be us talking like this and then showing them. Yeah. Go back to the history.
They're still alive.
He's still alive. But one guy almost wasn't. He just tracked me down.
Thank you.
Like some crazy thing happened. He ended up in the hospital for like 6 or 9 months. Just kind of a year. No, it was some kind of it's just a weird disease. It just showed up. And he went kind of like he was at home with his family. He went to the bedroom and came back out and just started losing it. And his wife was like, something's wrong.
And then overnight,
It was even faster than that. She goes, so they waited about 4 or 5 hours. She goes, we got to way off. And then all this stuff. Anyway, nobody can't see anybody for all this time. Guitar player, they're like, you live a couple miles from So we've got to go and take
You want to start your class?
You know, hey man, it's all good. I get your semester's over, but
No, it's not.
well, I'm totally messing with that. Like, dang man.
Hey,
I was going down, I start that trail. Yeah. Oh, okay, 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 cool.
Can I take the end product to social media?
They're not connected yet. Yeah.
Are we the lone survivors?
You are the survivors. Woo. Go kids. All right.
Cool.
So, whatever. And then, Tom goes, I'm out. He just tears ass out of here as soon as I get started. So, okay. Yeah, we're here. Next week is it. One of the things I forgot to do was make sure that I could get this classroom for next Tuesday. I'm pretty sure I got this classroom for next Tuesday. But and the other bit of news that you'll all be thrilled to hear is that I've come to my senses regarding the final exam. So it will go live tomorrow at midnight, and you can do it online, or you can do it here next week. It's up to you.
Will you be here until 10 next week?
I will be here until the bitter end, until there's nobody else in the room, or until all of the assignment or the projects have been turned in, or I get tired of waiting. Like nobody walks in or calls me or says, "Oh God, I'm on my way. I got stuck in traffic. I lost my arm. My dog ate my USB drive, and I'm waiting for him to poop it out." I don't know what the story will be, but I'll be here next week. So yeah. And I might watch things. I might Facebook. I don't know. We'll see. But if you come in and you hang out, I will and I can load up projects. We can watch them or not. If you guys want to bring in popcorn and eat popcorn. I hear tell though I think that officially no food or drink is allowed in the lab, but that's whatever. All right, so you should log in because we're gonna do a little bit of transcoding fun today. I had to look on the server for a ProRes file so that's why I grabbed this. It's relatively small, so just go on, log in, and download it to your desktop. It is, but you want to look for this file name. It's Chimera Spacepan Overlay. Sounds kind of dirty. .mov, and you can download it from the server and put it on your desktop, and you'll be all good. So the other news, I forgot for you guys to give me questions, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Damn it! And nobody's like, "Hey Randy, did you have a question? Did you want to read the weekly question?" And had you mentioned it, I would have been like, "Hell yeah!" And then you guys go, "Nah, man, he didn't put it in there, so we're not doing it." And so for that, I'm going to eat a gingin. So yeah, so I literally sat down this afternoon. I was like, "Oh, son of a!" So I had 2 hours set aside to do that. 15 minutes set aside to do that. And so yeah. Anyhow, you guys are very clever, and now I will have to create one for next year's class because this is only going to be offered in the spring. So classes following yours will suffer because of your indiscretion. Whatever. You guys won't care. You'll be long gone, right? What's that?
I thought you did it on purpose because you were being.
No, this was not my magnanimous self. Usually, I like to do the Q&A. So, somebody asked me something about. No, don't ask me anything about Encore. I don't want to answer any questions about Encore. But so what we're going to talk about this week, since I don't have Q&A, is we're going to move much faster. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Randy, in Encore,
Oh God, give me something to throw at you.
Yeah, is Encore free?
Is Encore free?
Easy question.
It is not free, but you can get it as part of your Creative Cloud subscription. So you can download it along with all the other software that came with CS6. it's, you know, but I will say, and I'm going to say it on the stream, that, you know, Mike relented. In the office today, I said, man, Encore. He's like, yeah, all right, we got to let it go. I was like, in my head, I'm like, so at least it looks like you guys might be the last guinea pigs to suffer in this capacity. So but he's like, we've got to come up with something to replace it. And I'm like, all right, well, at least I've got the summer and the fall to think about it. So I will. Yeah, so there's that. Okay, so one thing I was going to do, which I didn't do, I said I was going to do, is I was going to burn, right? I was going to show you, at least on a Mac, how to burn one of these things. It's not challenging to do. So just so that you're aware, I'm using this little USB drive to burn it on. This one actually does Blu-rays too, and DVDs. So plug this bad boy in.
What do you have to download to get it to work with Mac?
Nothing. These just plug in on USB and they just work.
Is it just Blu-ray?
Yeah, you can burn a Blu-ray. I've burned Blu-rays on a Mac. Now, here's the fun part. I've played a Blu-ray on a Mac. That's like technically impossible. Yeah.
How much did the USB drive go for?
Well, you know, Google has this feature where you can search things. Blu-ray burner USB. So, well, you know, when I bought it, I spent more than what these prices are. So, it's looking like the cheapest one is $75. Whether it works on a Mac is This one's a Panasonic, so but it actually let me pull up the exact one that this was. This was a funky German brand. Yeah, that's why I was like, is it this really? Is it this is how you? No, there's a C in there too. I was like, wait, there's a C in here. No. So yeah, this is the exact drive that I've got. And it has a Panasonic Blu-ray burner in it. If you go to amazon.co.uk, currently unavailable. All right, fine. So they don't have this one. Let me see if they've got another burner that's even reasonable. They got Bupkis. All right, well, there you go. It is even burning a disc these days is becoming challenging. That should be your first clue as to how much people are still looking for this. What's that? This one right here? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know. It looks like it's 22 British pounds. You want to spend 22 pounds? This item does not ship to the United States. So yeah, guys, don't kill yourself on this thing. It is a, it's you know.
So then would it be cheaper or a better option just to buy a couple, you could buy USB drives and put like a home video or something that you want to share with your family or friends and then pass those out?
Yeah, so these days, right? I mean, it used to be, now you don't have to give somebody a 32 gig like this, which admittedly costs what, $10, but there's a floor to these. I mean, they don't get very cheap. I mean, you get them for $5, I think, if you're very, very clever, for like an 8 or 16 gig. But, these are what people kind of get now in terms of like, oh, I need to send a movie somewhere. I'd say, well, no, I wouldn't say half. I would say a third of the film festival submissions that I got were on these. And then about half of them were delivered online. Like literally they gave me a link and I downloaded it. And then the remainder were like Blu-rays, DVDs, and stuff like that. So USB, especially if they're USB 3.0, and the way you can tell is you look inside, they've got a little blue plastic on this thing. But yeah, USB 3.0, man, that is it. That is seriously, that's legit in terms of distribution. It doesn't have the full sexy DVD experience. That's something, like I said, Mike and I will spend some time kicking around. But I think part of what we're talking about in terms of what it actually means to to build, to author something that you can distribute. And
ISO image for the playable DVD, put that on that USB drive, put it into a smartphone, it'll show up like an actual DVD menu that's playing stuff.
no, you'd have to write the files to it. I'm not positive that you could plug it in and have it behave like a DVD. That I don't think you can do. Now, I was just thinking you just render it, you just basically encode your film, and you say, you can name it, double click this to watch, or I don't know what you guys want to do, but it's like you can make it as stripped down as an experience as you want. But yeah. All right. So, when you drop in a blank DVD into whatever writable device you got, it does say that you can open, but generally speaking, I don't use this little pop-up. I try to avoid that, so I usually click ignore. And let me just make sure that it looks like everything's going okay online. I'm going to quickly check. Okay, cool. We've got people here online. Howdy, everybody on the stream. It looks like got Jadrian and Sandy. So everybody say hi to them. All right, now you two say hi back. No, never mind. All right. So the way that I end up burning things is I would have an image. So this is the ISO file that I showed you guys last week, and and this is roughly equivalent to how it works on Windows. But if you right click on this thing, you should see an option that says burn this image to your optical media. And in this case, it says burn disk image to disk. You click on that and magic happens. So it's going to say the maximum possible, which this drive is an 8x drive. So it's going to be 8 times your standard play speed. So that's pretty fast. After it burns, it's going to verify, and then it's going to eject it. And then you click burn. So yes, I'm not going to wait for this to finish. But generally speaking, my estimate was it's going to take about 5 minutes, soup to nuts, to burn this thing. So in the meantime, what we'll do is it can't be finishing the burn. You're kidding me, right? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's corrupted. Oh, snap. All right. Well, if I have to do it the hard way, I'll do it the hard way. Anyway, in the meantime, let's start talking about this. Okay, so this is the week that you've all been waiting for, right?
Yes.
All right, so honestly, these days the way that things are looking is sales disk distribution avenue for media content is still steadily declining, and has no sign of resuming a growth pattern. Let's put it that way. Oh, look. Oh no, can't do it. Can't be burned. It might be incompatible. Damn you. All right. Try burning at a slower speed. So this is inevitably why I bring several of these along. I'll try again. So usually you'll go buy these. You go buy discs on a spindle, and you'll get like 50 of them or 25 of them or some other thing, and it'll be what it is. So in this case, we'll use. I'm going to try disk utility now and see if it works any better. So I'm going to open this, but only just so that I have it listed here. All right, so. Nope. All right, fine. Nope, 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 nope. This is the most fun I've ever had browsing through stuff while you guys watch me. Okay. Yep. Okay. Man, so much fun. All right, I'll try it again. I'll do it the slow way. We'll see if it works any better this way. So burn. We will go slower, and this time we'll mount it on the desktop if everything goes fine. Opening session. Beep, 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 writing. Let's see if it's going to continue this time. It's fascinating, I know. About as much fun to stand up here and watch as it is to sit there and watch. Come on. Come on, little drive. All right, well, back to the issue at hand, which is so as we're moving into the world where disk media is even less relevant than it is now. Let's talk about what the future holds. So realistically, we're going to do this in 3 sections. We're going to talk about encoding media for the web, period. Okay, so this is going to be kind of just a quick run through. There's going to be some amount of alphabet soup here. I will not test you on any. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I will test you on some of these things on the final. So you do need to be paying some amount of attention. And I may actually say, final exam alert, remember this, or something along those lines. So just be on the lookout. This is why you don't want to miss lectures. Haha. All right. So in particular, we're going to talk about H.264, or what's called AVC, H.265, which is HEVC, and I kind of mentioned these guys already to you guys. Then we're going to talk about this thing called VP9 and WebM. Anybody know what those are? WebM, yeah, you know what WebM is. What is WebM?
It was replaced to get another web format, but MP4 didn't know more.
Well, WebM is an alternative it's an alternative container format to MP4 or QuickTime Movie, that sort of thing. So, okay?
So now Opera has MP4 support. So everyone has MP4 support now. So.
Well, except for Apple.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Safari is really kind of a backwater in that respect. And then we'll talk about tools to use, and then we're going to go through Vimeo and YouTube notes for encoding. And then we'll do some hoo-ha playing around with the YouTube Creator Studio some more. We've kind of done a little bit of that already, but we can play with it some more so that you guys see what's going on, and hopefully the stream won't crash.
What is VP9?
What's that? What's VP9? Well, I'll tell you what VP9 is.
Wow.
No, wait. You'll get there. Just relax. So we're going to talk about, like I said, Vimeo, YouTube, and so on. So, all right. So what's up with all these letters and numbers? So to start off with, you've got this is the encoding. This is the codec that most of you should already be aware of. If there's one thing, what's the one format I don't want you to encode to? NTSC. Thank you. At least somebody said it. One of you is saved. The rest of you, I don't know so much. But so yeah. But it is primarily what you'll find. Most software that encodes video will absolutely support H.264. Many computers have hardware support for decoding H.264 video. You'll see that. So you'll find anything from your mobile phones have special blocks of silicon in there that just are for decoding this stuff. It was it's created to what does it say? Created to specify capabilities or feature sets in the encoding. Oh, so profiles. When you talk about, there's two things with H.264, and it actually plays into other video formats as well, but you have two ways of looking at a video codec. These days, you have what's called profiles, and you have what's called levels. How many of you guys have heard the mention of those terms, profile and level? No? One, two, maybe 2.5. All right. Do I hear 3? All right. So when you talk about profiles, this is literally I'll show you some specifics in Adobe Media Encoder of where you find the idea of a profile. But profiles are literally designated they specify features in the encoding itself, or in how it's played back. So you have the 3 ones that you'll hear a lot are base or baseline, which is generally considered pretty low quality, really only suitable for things like video conferencing. Then you have main, which is considered an encoding for standard definition. And then you have high, which is actually considered for high def content. So which profile do you think you guys should be using when you encode for Vimeo, YouTube, or whatever?
Main.
I'm going to throw something at you. It's like, no. Actually, the reason why you don't want to do, the reason that, if you're dealing with 720p and 1080p content, you don't want to use main. And the reason why is that it's suited for standard definition content. High definition content, like things above 480p, generally are going to benefit from having a high profile encoding done. Now, is it, you can, what that has to do with is it also designates the ability of the device that's playing back the encoded video. So if you do a main profile, you're basically telling the device that's playing the video, don't worry, I'm not going to go above this bit rate. No matter what, I will never go above this bit rate. And the bit rate is for main is relatively low. I'll show you an eye chart here shortly that goes into that. So generally speaking, the profile that you're going to want to use, final exam alert, the profile that you're generally going to want to use for high definition content is going to be a high profile. Okay? All right. So here's the eye chart. So, and you don't have to memorize any of this. But what's important to understand is, well, what's interesting is that what we're talking about is really these here. So you have BP, which is baseline profile. You have MP, which is main profile, and then you have high profile, which is here. So these are the features that are present in each of them. So when it says yes, you kind of go, oh, that's what features it has. This is actually the encoding that it uses for base, which is very much a low quality encoding strategy. Okay, so base is definitely not what you want to be doing anything for high quality content. Now for MP, this MP column, fourth one over, you'll see that it actually is using a different kind of encoding strategy and doesn't use this lower quality one, it uses a higher quality one. So that's the important thing to get out of that. And then when you get to the high profile, you'll see that it has the same features that the main profile has, and then some additional ones that give it that extra ability to show fine detail in the encoding process. So, you can generally say, oh, well, it's better. The more, the higher you go, the better. Yes, and the higher you go, the more performance you are. It's basically you're putting a limit on the performance of the playback device. So that's what profiling does. Okay, you got it. So that's all you need to know. That's not, this part's not on the test. Yes.
So where do you find that on the export? All the stuff you're saying, I don't know where I see that.
Well, I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, but that's a good question. You guys want? Well, I want to get through levels and then we'll talk about that. Okay. So let's talk about the next part. So the next slide here talks about. Oh, it finished. Okay. Oh, look. Okay, and it immediately dumps into showing us the, and this is playing off the disc. Of course, it's showing you guys a gray screen. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's because I'm putting it up on a shared screen. It's not playing as nicely as it did last time. Well, at least it sounds good. All right, I'm done playing with the. I'm done playing with the burner. So I'm going to eject this as it pinwheels. All right. Meanwhile, we'll go back to this. So H.264 levels. The idea of a level dictates the minimum performance of the decoder in terms of bit rate and resolution. So now this is actually something that will matter significantly to you if you're working with high definition content. I'm going to unplug this because I just don't want to keep it anywhere close by. All right. So, and it starts with low numbers like 3.0 and 3.2, which, 3.0 is basically standard definition video. So you can play standard definition video at 3.0 at 30 frames a second. So if you go, so that's your NTSC kind of quality, your 4:3 aspect ratio, standard definition. 3.2 actually has a maximum resolution of 1280 by 720. So it's 720p at 60 frames a second. 4.0 is the maximum 1080p frame at 30 frames a second. And then 4.2 is the same size, max 1080p by 64 frames a second. So you gotta get, like, if you're working with certain frame rates, a lot of folks are talking about like high frame rate video, which I still think is, people have opinions. So what you'll find is 4.0 is generally for 1080p footage that you're going to encode. 4.0 is the right choice for the level that you choose for your HD video. If you are encoding 720p, you can encode to 3.2. That's your choice. So again, final exam alert. Just remember, level 4.0 is what you want to think of when you're confronted with what is the right number of in terms of encoding a 1080p frame. The bottom line, though, the last one is 5.1, which for AVC is, I think they went as high as 5.2, but generally speaking, I don't go beyond 5.1, is a 4K image. So it's 4096 by 2048, which is an actual 4K frame, right? And it maxes out at 30 frames a second. And that level is, that's a pretty high bit rate level in terms of playback. This is kind of at the upper limits of what H.264 can do realistically with good quality. If you can encode 4K video with H.264 and have it come out okay. It's just whether you can actually play it. That's what the 5.1 level is. So there's not too many devices that can play a 5.1 level coded media file. So the bottom line, though, is you always want to choose the lowest level that fits your needs, because whatever you choose, it will limit what devices can play back your file. So you got these two competing notions. You have profile and you have level. Why would you necessarily want to? And you could encode SD using a high profile, but is it going to actually do anything for you? Probably not. If you encode high definition with a main profile, even if it's at like at a 4.2 or 4.0 level, you're encoding it using less effective algorithms than you know, for the frame size that you have, and so your quality will suffer. The quality of a main profile versus a high profile encoded video, you can, I mean, will you be able to tell the difference at a glance? Perhaps not, but there will be some telltale frames, usually the ones that are low contrast or have very, very slow, gradual gradations of color or brightness, that you see those banding. Usually that's what ends up happening, is that it ends up showing up as banding with your gradations and your you know, if you have a contrast ramp or a color hue, you know, any of those things, if it's a slow transition from one to another, you'll start to see these very weird banded transition zones where it looks like it steps from one to the other, and that's part of the one of the downsides to encoding the wrong profile to a lower profile than you need. So now, before we get to this, let's start Adobe Media Encoder. Well, yeah, okay. So it's starting up. What the hell? Let's do this. Clean up my desktop while we go. Any questions so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the footage that you shot of those the little cars, and you had speed variation. I don't know how to say that. What would you output that as? Because you're probably shooting at 120 frames per second, right?
You mean if I'm shooting something overcranked?
Yeah. So how would you?
Well, that's more. Well, hold up now. If you're shooting it, the idea is this is for encoding for playback, for final output. This is not what you shoot in your camera and then you go and retime it either in Premiere or in After Effects to speed it up or slow it down. Those are two different notions. And why is Media Encoder taking so dang long? Whatever. It's pinwheeling for me. It's the best. It's the best thing. All right. Well, I'm going to continue doing this while it's loading, and then we'll. So, H.265 is the heir apparent, as people have said, for high or for large frame sizes, for 4K and up, and also for the fact that there are so many video streams that are now being hosted. Video content represents a pretty healthy amount of overall traffic that's going on the internet. Oh, good, it finished. And all right, so I'll get back to that in a second. Now we'll switch gears here briefly so that I can show you guys what this is. All right. So let's say, for instance, for whatever reason, I've got I have something in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it. These were some comps that I dropped into the Oh, I couldn't open the source. All right, fine. I'll just kill these things. When I'm talking about, and I may have to plug in this disk to get what I want. Let me see if I've got some MP4 content, something in here that I can. No. Archive trailer, no. Not 5 seconds of black. That's not going to be good. All right, I'll pull up a trailer. That's fine. So when you go to select an output for, and this is the same for Premiere, After Effects, or if you just load it here, is you target, basically this is your file format that you're targeting. Okay. Notice, for instance, that what they don't show here is they don't actually have a preset for any web related outputs like WebM or something along those lines. So we might try to talk to that. So when you do look in for any particular output format like H.264, they do come with presets. But if you want to really dive in, you'll click on this, and you're going to get the export settings, which is basically the same. Let me turn up the lights again. Darn it. Always the same week after week. I got to turn off the lights. So now when you're looking at this, you'll see that the format is specified up here as H.264. We want to come down to, so we're going to export video and audio. This is actually just a trailer of a movie that we showed at the Doc Fest in the springtime. It's called Fat Mob. It's about a flash mob of people that dance who are all obese. Pretty fun. So what we'll do is you'll notice that because it's set to match source, it's going to match the frame size, the frame rate, the field order, all this other stuff, and that's fine. What it does also notice is that it has profile and level. Now, I will have to beat the living tar out of my friend Julie, whose film this is, because she encoded this trailer with a main profile. When what you need is, you'll see that the profile that they show is baseline, main, and high. Now, this being a 1080p high definition frame, you want to make sure that you're using a high profile. Now, for the level, remember that you have levels 1 through 5.2. Now, for 1080p, and this is 2398 as the frame rate, 4.0 should be just fine in terms of the level for the whole thing. Let me pull this down. We can actually make this a little bit. So you can actually now choose the bitrate. And it kind of, when you hover over it, it tells you this constrains the bitrate range and controls other properties such as compression algorithm and chroma, which is that's funny because this all of these profiles have the same color information stored, which is 420. So it's a chroma format is like, yeah, okay. But anyway, so you have high profile, and then your level, you should choose at least 4.0. You can go above, but I wouldn't go above 4.2 if you wanted to. It's not going to make a huge difference. This is a slightly more sophisticated playback device, more recent. Most devices that were made in the last 7 or 8 years are easily going to be able to play this sort of video. And then you're set with the bitrate settings. So this is your bitrate encoding, and you have some choices here. And we've been through these choices, right? We've been through what CBR is. What is CBR? Anybody? Come on. It's constant bit rate. Thank you. My God. Yes. No. And we mentioned that relatively early on. And that's fine. But the idea of a constant bit rate is every frame gets a set amount of bits of information, whether it needs it or not. So frames of black, solid black, get the same amount of frames as a frame of really crazy motion that is very complex and very detailed. So you constrain, each of them. It's the Soviet model of encoding. So it's like everybody gets the same. Yes, you all get the same. So there's that, and then there's what's the VBR, which is variable bit rate. In which case, if you were to select constant bit rate, you'll see that it just says target bit rate is given as a single slider, and that's the bit rate that you use. Then you have the variable bit rate, where you have a target bit rate and then you have a maximum. Now, the target bit rate, again, is your average. This is your target. This is what you generally want it to be at. But if you have these moments of your video that are very high motion, high complexity, from one frame to the next is very large transitions, you can give it a little bit of extra headroom so that it can accommodate that complexity and still give you good quality. So, and we'll talk about what values to plug in here if you guys want. That's all part of the YouTube and Vimeo setting stuff.
I'll ask you about something.
Yeah.
So let's say I make something in After Effects,
Yes.
and then I code it to put into Premiere Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Will setting the bit rates like to get the maximum quality for the After Effects affect the editing and Premiere Pro? Like, will we just adjust the bit rate on its own, or should I set the bit rate at what the Premiere Pro probably should?
Okay, I'm throwing daggers at you with my eyes. No, so good question, but the wrong. You're taking it from the wrong perspective. So what I've talked about when you want to, if you're gonna render video out of After Effects and then put it into Premiere, you probably want to be thinking of using an intermediate codec, which is one of ProRes or Cineform or DNX HD. Render to that format and then import that into Premiere and then use it. It's going to be at a much higher quality than what you would get out of this. But the good news is that it's going to be, you're still going to be working with the best quality you can. Whereas if you were to take it and if you were to take a comp in After Effects and render it using H.264 with and you messed up the bit rate and you did it like half of what it should have been, you're going to end up with a really low quality output that you're then going to put back in and then encode again with your final output out of Premiere. So you're not doing yourself any favors by doing it that way. So generally speaking, if you're going to work between, if you're going to work between After Effects and Premiere, and you're not going to use dynamic linking because dynamic linking's poopy. Okay, it's not poopy, but it's just not. It's not, well, no, it's not even that it's crashy, but or that it's prone to crashing. It's just fragile in a way that you don't necessarily want to expose yourself to. If you do dynamic linking, again, this is a test question, so ready yourselves. If you do dynamic linking, you better be prepared for it to be the only person to use that file. So if you're going to pass a program, if you're going to pass a clip from Premiere to After Effects to work on it there, and you're going to use dynamic linking, you can do it, but don't expect that it's going to work really well if you suddenly have to take that comp or that After Effects project and hand it to somebody else to work on, and then get it back, and then actually have it reconnect to your Premiere project. That's really not going to work. If you're the only person working on it and you're absolutely sure that you're going to do it all on that computer, you're not going to be moving it off to some other computer, because those things can start to make it brittle. So that's why I strongly recommend that. And I don't recommend it to just be nasty. I've had this happen. And so I'm trying to impart some wisdom, like, hey, don't make the same mistakes that Randy made. All right. So just be aware of that. So, so the short answer to your question is, don't encode to H.264 out of After Effects if you're going to put it in Premiere. Use something else. But that's okay, because we're really talking about encoding your project from Premiere once everything's done and assembled. You've brought your audio back in from Audition, and you've got your After Effects clips all finished, and you've re-imported them, and then dropped them over the existing clips that were in your sequence, or whatever your process is, and you want to render it out, your final render. That's what we're talking about here. Okay, so when you get to, then there's the video bit rate. There's you've got that. And then you also have audio settings. And we don't really get into this either, but you do have some choices for what kind of audio you encode to, whether that's AAC, Dolby Digital. And for the love of everything that's holy, please don't encode to Dolby Digital if you don't have to. It's just kind of a dead end format now, believe it or not. And actually, AAC is really kind of also, actually, the thing about it is that there are options here under AAC. AAC Plus is a newer version of it. It's lower bit rate for the same quality, so it's very similar to like H.265 in terms of that sort of relative difference. I don't think that if you do it at Dolby Digital, it doesn't give you. Oh, you can do Dolby Digital Plus. Oh, congratulations. All right. Well, whatever. So, and then the one you really don't want to do is MPEG, because that's like super bummer. That's like really, really low quality by comparison. It's very, very low efficiency encoding. So you have to basically weigh up your bit rate in order to get the same quality that you would get from AAC. So, all right. Anyway.
Which one are we supposed to do?
What's that?
Which one do we do? The A
You should do AAC.
plus?
No, I would just do AAC. If you get into AAC Plus, what you start to see is that it is the bit rates. You can take this bit rate down to like 64, and it's going to sound as good as AAC at twice or three times that bit rate. But we don't necessarily go there, because there's not that many. Actually, not too many players play AAC Plus. So that's why, I mean, any of your computers can do it. Okay, that's not the question. But it's like, if you're sending your audio to YouTube or Vimeo or something like that for distribution, just put it in AAC. That's what they're expecting right now. They haven't changed their format spec in a couple of years, so that's good news. Okay, so that is the, and then you'll set your output, where you want it to go. Let's say that we'll do this on my desktop, and we'll click OK. And then we'll click Go, and it will go. So this is, and it's going to take a couple of minutes. It generally, it encodes pretty fast for H.264 is relatively fast on these computers. So just keep that in mind. Now, switching back to 5, the thing about it now is that as each year goes by, H.265 is becoming a bit more prevalent. You might actually hear the words HEVC in terms of decoding. Any computer in here will absolutely play HEVC without issue, and it would be very high performance. The encoding it is a little more compute intensive. So if you want to target H.265 as an output format, you absolutely could. Understand that not every browser in the world is going to play this if you were to embed it into a website. But certainly most of them will play it. And I mean, realistically, this is the codec that if you're going to use 4K or bigger content, you're going to want to target this. You're going to want to use this codec, and it's only going to get more so like that, going forward. Next up are the thing that Josh was begging for earlier is VP9 and WebM. WebM is, again, it is a file format like MP4, QuickTime MOV, AVI. So this is a file format, WebM, and that's the After Effects, or sorry, that's the code. The encoding is done. VP9, the promise of it was that it would provide the same quality at H.265 at a smaller size. The truth of it is less definitive. It's not an apples to apples comparison because VP9 uses a totally different encoding mechanism, and that's how it doesn't have, it's not encumbered by these patents and intellectual property that that this MPEG group has. They went through a whole thing about suing the Google about VP9 as a patent infringement. I won't bore you with the details, but the short answer is they settled. And so it's not, it is mostly unencumbered by patent, and it's been cross-licensed for whatever it was infringing on, is really what they boil down to. The downside of VP9 is that there's not too many tools that'll encode it. now know what FFmpeg is? 2, 3, 4 hand waves. There's a little Bob Fosse there. Okay. Cool. So yeah, FFmpeg it's free software that you can download. It's open source software that you can get and install and run on your computer to provide to provide different ways of encoding or transcoding media. So, and it does, I mean, it's crazy. It has way more functionality than you probably will ever need, but it's available to you. All right, so moving from there, there was a follow-on that Google was working called VP10, and then that really it kind of fell apart because they realized that there were several competing high-performance codecs that were trying to be open source and patent royalty free and that sort of thing, which is really the difference. H.264, H.265, technically you're supposed to license those from the MPEG group and pay a royalty to them for every device that uses that codec. So your version of Adobe Media Encoder that you pay your monthly subscription fee for, or not, whatever, I'm open. That actually is licensed, and Adobe has paid a licensing fee to the MPEG group so that you can encode those to H.264 and H.265, or H.264 anyway. I don't think they offer that. So they've come together now, and they've created this new thing. So, and this new thing is backed by Google. And so when you hear the word Google, you should think YouTube. Okay, so this is like not a small deal. Oh, the other thing about VP9, before I move on, because it's backed by Google, and it is it's the YouTube thing, that YouTube is owned by them. YouTube, basically, almost every time you play video in your browser in YouTube, with the exception of if you play YouTube in your browser on Safari, you'll get H.264 video. If you play it on anything else, you're playing VP9. Okay? And all this time, the last few years, that's what they've been doing, is basically been pushing all of their because when you encode something to VP9, you get a big savings in terms of file size. So that's fewer bits that have to be shoved over the wire to your computer, meaning that YouTube's basically their bandwidth costs go down, which really is not true because their content is still kind of on a crazy ramp. It's growing at this rate still. It's still growing very, very steeply, and they're just trying to control their bandwidth costs. So it's not like the bandwidth costs are going down. They're trying to flatten it so it doesn't grow as fast. And that's what VP9 and this new AV1 is going to be involved in. So yeah, there are a lot of media heavy hitters in the media industry that have come together. They've done this Alliance for Open Media, or AO Media, and they've created this codec. What the hell's going on next door? Yeah, there's like cackling going on. I guess they pulled out the hookah. So they call it AO Media Video 1 codec, or AV1. It is still in development. So why am I putting it on the slide? Because YouTube's going to start using it sometime next year. So it is like we're about 12 months from it starting to be used widely. But now here's the thing about before we get into a dive into why you upload things to Vimeo or why you upload things to YouTube, is you always have the option to not do that. You do have the ability to encode video yourself and host it wherever you want. Now, when you do that, when you make that choice of self-hosting your video, a lot of the goodness that YouTube has done for you, you would have to do yourself, which would be basically targeting multiple different video frame sizes and bit rates so that anybody that shows up with a really crappy internet connection and a low-res device will be able to play video at full frame rate and with good sound. Or if they come in with their 4K laptop and they're like, hey, well, I've got my surround sound speakers and I want to hear everything, you can also encode for that as a separate encoding. But yes, every video that you would create, you would actually encode multiple times in terms of which targets you're generating. And that's kind of, if you look at how, well, not like that. If you look at how media encoder works, when you add a source, so let's say, for instance, we were we'll put this one back in the hopper, and you can actually add a new output. So you can basically create multiple outputs for a given clip. And why do you think that is? Because each of these could be a separate format. They could be a separate encoding, a separate frame size, separate sound. You know, you can do all of that right here inside of media encoder. You don't have to load it again and then load it again and load it again and make those changes. You can do it one time for each of these, stack up these presets, and if you have them all done as presets, then it's pretty quick. You go, oh, here's my and they kind of actually do some of this for you. Oops, let me cancel that. So as part of this, you'll see that, oh, look, there's Android phones, Amazon phones, Apple iPad. So you can be like, oh, here's if I wanted to target Apple iPhone, iPod at 320 by 4. Oh God, here I'm clicking the wrong things again. And maybe I also want to do an Android at 720p and 23,976, and then I also want to do an Apple iPad 2, 3, 4 mini. Now you're going to be encoding a 320p, a 720p, and a 1080p all in one pass. Now it's not going to encode them all at the same time. It's going to encode the first one, then the second one, then the third one. So you'll see it kind of go lockstep through your batch here. But you can set this up and then hit go and go camping or whatever it takes. I don't know how long it'd take to encode this. I mean, this one, it wouldn't take as long, but you kind of get the idea is that you can actually set up your encoding. You can set up media encoder to do multiple jobs for a single input. Okay. So yeah, mid 2018, look for AV1. But yeah, it's still in development, so it's not really ready for testing, but it's the next thing that's coming down the pike. So in a year, I'm sure I'll be talking about it. Sure, why not? Okay. So, what is your toolkit? As producers about to step into the world of, I'm a badass, I'm going to go kill media as we know it, because all of you are thinking that, right? Good. All right. At least one of you is. All right, cool. You have the tool that we've shown you already, which is Adobe Media Encoder, which is your reasonably familiar friend. It is very nicely integrated with the Creative Cloud suite of apps. It does okay encoding H.264, but there's very few frills or additional knobs to turn. You guys noticed that when I got to, you can set the profile, you can set the level, you can set the frame size and the frame rate, you can set the bit rate. That's about it. I mean, you don't got a ton of ways to tweak things. You certainly don't have access to really telling the encoder exactly what kind of content you have so that you can squeeze all the performance out of it that you can, if you want to. Most people don't even go there, so don't freak out about this. Next up, how many of you guys have heard of Handbrake? One? Handbrake? Nobody? Really? Not two? I got two of you. All right. Look it up. Handbrake H.264. It also does H.265, and it does VP9. So you guys can actually target some of these, web-only platforms if that's what you want to. And then last, there's FFmpeg, which is not a GUI. There's no GUI. There's nothing GUI about it. It's all command line all the time. And the two things to take away from it is that it has all the power and it has all the headaches associated with command line use. So if you guys are into hacking on a terminal, FFmpeg can be your new best friend or your hated enemy. All right, so before we dive into this, it's 8:04. Why don't we take like 10 minutes? Guys, get up, stretch around, walk around, and we'll reconvene about 8:15, and then we'll dive into the videos. Come on, just one more class. Don't get freaked out. Yes.
The premiere file for the final. Do we supposed to turn that into a video, or could we just put it into after?
I'm gonna have a slide. We can answer those questions at the end tonight.
Sure.
But yeah, it's
Basically doing what we did the first
Yes.
class, right? And, okay.
Yeah,
that was my
pretty much. I'm gonna put ginger in my mouth. What is it?
I thought I downloaded twice an assignment, but you still don't have anything for me. And I'm just like,
It's because I'm lazy.
yeah, because you played other things.
Great.
I mean, see, you've done all of those ones now. And
I may not have gone back to week 7. Let me look. Oh, look. What happened?
Right, they continue. I wanted it to be around on shoot. One looking for 502. Oh yeah, I mean this is actually reduced down by half of what I originally.
Yeah, I have it.
You
I
do
just
have
haven't
it?
graded it yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's all. I've got it.
Thank you.
I'll get to it, Lori. I swear.
Okay.
Hi.
Same question, but about week 5 color correction. I handed in, and then it was the wrong file, so I handed in again later. I just wanted to make sure it was just because it had already been a thing.
It's already been a thing. Yes, I have it.
Cool.
Yep. I'll get to it. I'll catch all of it. I'm so glad you believe me. So glad I'm believable. Just barely believable.
It's perfect that it worked out like that for the test to be online.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for getting back to me right away.
Oh, no worries. It's a good opportunity. What's your production company?
Dan, Bay Area Media Master.
Okay, yeah. Nice. Cool.
Very exciting.
Looks pretty good though.
Thanks. I'm really happy how it's turning out, especially since I'm only gonna be on my laptop now. It's pretty COVID. And I can see one here, like, oh, it's so good. It's awesome. See that? second image. See what's labeled as a HDR like that, the world map is theorized, and the cloud map is theorized. So we can hit it. So that's why I didn't want to deal with that. I'm bringing the cloud over in here. We might have two images, you know, I mean, yeah, so I just added the to the face and to it. Well, this is right here. I know, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna go from Ohio down to Houston. So right now I got Russia all the way down to but yeah.
Well, at least you got most of it.
Exactly. I only have a laptop right now, so I hear that I'm a builder, so I would. So what are you working on? So, okay, let me show you. I'm basically finishing my midterm project from the last class. So, finishing my midterm.
Oh, it's.
This is my midterm class. That's a giveaway. Yeah, I know. Hey, the other one you got some math. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Damn, I'm flying. Who's playing that? It sounded like you were dragging your cart across gravel. I don't know what that was, but I was like, what the hell sound is that?
Oh my God.
It's Either brilliant Foley or terrible. I can't tell which.
Probably just like disconnect. Just like do you have the all solar logic or? Okay, yeah. So this is. So okay, so this is the same product.
No.
Okay, so that's why you can install. Well, I mean, I know like the photos are not yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like the only thing is things that you yeah, it's like we're saying like. Yeah. Oh, well, not there, but I mean, like, just take the audio file to a disk. Yeah.
I got it. So I'm gonna do some of these in my audio tomorrow. That's my.
So this is just a personal project. Right? So do you have any questions?
The fire mom.
Oh, that would be
Well, this one. Yeah, I think you can very much. But you're fine because you prepared. That's not worry. Yeah, that's what it's all.
Okay,
Are we back?
we're back. Can't you tell? Josh is wiggling his fingers. We must be back. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through a couple of, there's something to be learned from this. It used to be that they've converted a bit, so it's slightly. Well, the good news is you generally probably only have to target one, one output for both or either, and you don't have to differentiate as much, which is fine. But what we'll do is we'll still go through. Vimeo and YouTube have their own notion of what they suggest as the right values for an encoding. So here's an eye chart. Enjoy it. But actually, there's a URL at the bottom if you guys care. But it's if you just Google Vimeo compression settings, you'll find this page. So here's what Vimeo says. Generally speaking, so I compare the two between this, is that they say that they don't care what you give them as long as it is H.264 and it's a high profile 4.0. Vimeo knows what's what. They're telling you encode it correctly for the content you have. They're not as strong about what container to put it in. I would put it in an MP4 container, but that's just me. What's funny is that now Vimeo actually does say that if you're running a pro account, or they don't even actually put it that way. What they say is if you have space in your account to upload it, because for different levels of your accounts, you have different, you have a different kind of upload limit. If you have enough room in your account, you can upload ProRes and they'll transcode it for you, which is not bad. Because if you give them a really high quality, final, like a ProRes master, and they transcode it for what gets played on online, guarantee you it's going to be better than you encoding it to H.264 and then them transcoding it again to H.264. So you're removing one of those generational encodings from consideration. This is one of the reasons why filmmakers like Vimeo. So you'll find a lot of filmmakers using Vimeo to distribute their stuff, as opposed to going on the YouTubes and basically shutting down comments on all their films so that they don't get, all the people going, "You're dumb." All right. So frame rate, they generally say keep it the same as the source, but not more than 60 frames a second. Otherwise, they'll turn it down from 60 frames a second. But really, why are you putting out content over 60 frames a second? I won't understand. You guys, it's like, well, I screen capped my PC Master Race video game system. Yeah, Coleman, I had a feeling, man. It's like, oh, but I can get 74 frames a second on my computer playing, Minecraft. I don't know. That's what my kids play. So what am I supposed to say? Anyway, but don't upload anything more than 60. Otherwise, they just basically they dumb it down to 60 frames a second. They retime it, I should say. So the bitrate targets, they say for standard definition, 2 to 5 megabits per second. Okay. For 1080p, they say 10 to 20. And for 4K, they say 30 to 60. For your resolution, if you're doing standard definition, they talk the frame sizes as 640 by 480, which is your old school 4:3 aspect ratio, or 640 by 360, which is your 16 by 9 aspect, very low res. And then HD, obviously, and 4K is being the UHD, or the basically 3840 by 2160 instead of a 4096, whatever. All right. Audio, the thing to take away from audio is that Vimeo really only understands stereo. So if you want to do a sick surround mix, you're not sending it to Vimeo. Vimeo only understands stereo audio. If you give it anything else, they won't understand what to do with it. They don't down mix it. I would hazard to guess that they would just take the left and right channels out of your 5.1 mix, and you'd be left with a really, really bad sounding film. Because all your dialogue wouldn't be in the left and right channels. It would be in the center, and then you'd lose all your dialogue. So whatever. But famously, they say that AAC is the encoding. 320 kilobits per second is what they suggest you encode to, which is what I suggest as well. And 48 kilohertz. So 48 kilohertz is your sample rate. You guys know this. You should never go below that if you're recording audio for film. So yeah, that for realistically, I'm mostly in line with that. My only thing is my target bit rates would be higher. For 1080p, I generally would target 18 to 24, and for 4K, I would be even bigger to go 64 to 96, and or better yet, encode with what they call a constant rate factor. So what is that? I'm not expecting anybody to know. So if you surprise me, now's the time. Anybody know what CRF is, or constant rate factor? No? Good. All right. So if you run Handbrake, so I have this video from the Chimera Space Pan overlay, and you guys are welcome to screw around with how it works with Media Encoder. Unfortunately, because of the way these computers are set up, they don't have Handbrake on them, and so you can't install Handbrake and make it work. Because I tried and I said, well, that went about as expected. I don't have the admin login on these computers, and nor should I really, because I would be dangerous. But what I will say is that they do have all of the settings in Handbrake for MP4. You'll notice that they give you the two big. Oh God, here we go again. I got to turn off my lights. All right, so they do give you the two encoding codecs that we've talked about tonight. There's H.264. And then there's H.265 underneath it. All right. So you can choose either of those two. And in so doing, you actually have a lot more control over this. You also have this notion right here of what's called constant quality. And there's this RF, which is rate factor. And you can choose what size this is. So generally speaking, for high quality, and what this really boils down to is how big you want your output file to be. The cool thing about doing constant rate factor is that it will encode your video to kind of a quality standard, and saying, and honestly, the quality standard is 0. Is flawless. It is actually it is pixel for pixel exactly what you put in. It's also unbelievably huge file sizes and takes forever to encode. At the other end, you have 51, which is super micro tiny, but looks like hell. All right. So the general wisdom with H.264 and you're doing the CRF is you want to do somewhere between 18 and 20, or maybe 21. You get to 23 and your file sizes will be really small, but you'll start to see quality problems. So using a constant rate factor is a good general practice for encoding video. Unfortunately, Media Encoder doesn't have it. And so Media Encoder, you're left with bitrate targets and bitrate maximums, and that's it. And this is what I meant by you don't have as many knobs to twist and turn and tweak with the AME as you do with something like Handbrake. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It is. I got to turn up my brightness. Man, I can't see what I'm doing here. All right, so when you're working with this, you actually can do. You can determine a lot of the constant quality, and even if you hover over it, it'll tell you that X.264 is lossless, it's RF0, but is also ridiculously huge in terms of file size. Additionally, there's encoder options down here. You can preset, there's presets on how fast, and you'll notice that as you move this slider around, you see that the options that are being sent to the encoder kind of shift. So as you move from ultra fast to super fast to very fast to faster to fast to medium, which really has no specific things, to slow to slower to very slow, and then what they call placebo. So placebo is it's literally doing extra encoding steps that generally are not going to result in any quality difference. But since you asked it to do it, it will. So that's what they mean by placebo. It's generally basically being very, very, very time consuming in terms of how long it takes to encode. You're welcome to experiment with any of these. I've done some of that. Generally speaking, if you were to use this, I would leave it on faster, and you get great results for a constant rate factor. You don't have to go with like medium or slow or any of that stuff, because actually at some point your file size starts to grow again. And so it's not saving you any bits. It's actually probably improving the quality by, infinitesimally. Damn it, I hate that word. So it will do very, very tiny changes in quality improvements for the size of the file that you get. There are also some other things here where you can choose your profile. Again, you have high or auto, where you let the encoder basically figure out based on your rate factor and your frame size, and your frame rate, it'll say, oh, for that it should be this profile and level. You also have access to all of the levels in here as well. Okay, so and the same goes for H.265, which doesn't actually have all of the bells and whistles that that X264 has, but it does have the same presets for speed. There are really only two profiles for H.265, main and main still picture. So you generally will just pick main, and then the levels actually don't exist in that codec. Finally, before we move off of this onto something else, if you choose the other file format, so there's two file formats here. One is MP4, and the other is MKV, which is called Matryoshka, which is it's supposedly a royalty-free, unencumbered file format, but that actually isn't true either. So anyway, it's just the one that people who rip Blu-rays use a lot. If you choose that one, your video encoder options kind of open up. You actually get three more, one of which is VP9. VP8 is just a predecessor. Generally speaking, it's kind of like the H.264 of this style of codec. And Theora is really out of date. I wouldn't use it for anything new. For VP9, you actually can encode the same sort of thing. They don't call it a rate factor. They call it a CQ, which is constant. Okay, so that is that's Handbrake, and it's relatively useful for advanced. If you feel like the quality that you're getting out of media encoder isn't everything you hoped it could be, you're right, it isn't. You can take ProRes or any QuickTime format. I believe you can bring into Handbrake, and it will read it and then transcode it. So, but don't quote me on it might not do Cineform unless you load the Cineform codec into your computer. Yes.
I might have placed over the ship Wisconsin or where we get it.
Handbrake is free. I'll dump out of this real briefly. To visit, is Handbrake. So handbrake.fr is the site. So if you go here, and you'll see that it says, hey, look, it's free. Oh, look, security alert. Go figure. Good times for everybody. So and it's been around a long time. I've used it for years. And I don't use it for ripping DVDs or Blu-rays or any of this other garbage. I use it for transcoding because it's a decent GUI for GUI front end for the H.264 encoder. It's good, and it's good for doing that. So, some people look at it as like, oh, it's a pirate tool. I'm like, nah, no more than, YouTube is a pirate tool. I'm not looking at you over there with your Cora videos. All right, never mind. Cool. Now, moving on to the next thing, which is the YouTubes. So when we talk about encoding for YouTube, it's much the same thing. So what they suggest is H.264, high profile. They say progressive scan, so you shouldn't be putting interlace footage in, but you really shouldn't be encoding interlace anyway. Content should be encoded and uploaded in the same frame rate it was recorded. So if you record something, if you basically you're mastering it at 2398, you should have the frame rate be 2398. Don't have to up convert it to 2997 or 60 or whatever, because you're just duplicating frames at that point. They have their bitrate targets. Generally speaking, again, they're kind of low, but whatever. And again, they also suggest for audio AAC. They will actually let you master to 48 or 96 kilohertz. And they actually do support surround sound mixes. So I'll tell you, try to do one, is what to encode your audio. Because there's different channel orders. So usually there's one called SMPTE, which is left, right, center, low frequency, right surround, left, or left surround, right surround. So it's like they literally stack the channels like that. And then there's another one where it's left, center, right, and then surround or low frequency surrounds. So it's like, if you get it wrong and send it in, then your center channel's coming out of your right speaker and you're like, what the hell happened? And it's because your channel order was wrong. So don't freak out about it. Generally speaking, I believe that they work with the SMPTE standard on this, but again, that is probably in one of their help documents. So again, to repeat, this is the same, literally the same over here, with the difference being that your audio you should always deliver your audios in multiples of 48 kilohertz. I can't stress that enough. If you encode for 44.1 kilohertz, God kills a kitten. Yeah, it's serious, people. Don't mess with it. 44.1, bad. All right, I've said it now. And I'm a teacher, so it's true. All right. The next thing is for stereo, it should be 320 kilobits or higher for audio. And if you're doing 5.1, I suggest you push it as far as you can. So I suggest 960 kilobits per second, almost 1 megabit per second of audio for 5.1 surround sound. So just keep that in mind. They suggest like 512 for 5.1. I'm thinking that's garbage sound. But then again, remember, this is YouTube, and people, even though YouTube is now actually available on plenty of smart TVs and set-top boxes and Xboxes and PlayStations and all these other things that you can put it on. So being able to play a clip or play a video off of YouTube on reasonably performant, consumer home theaters, there's an opportunity there. You can give somebody a cinematic experience out of YouTube, and it's not just going to be on somebody's, browser on their desktop. Sure, it will. Probably the lion's share, but how many people are watching YouTube on their phones? I am. I do it all the time, man. It's like I'm bored. Or what's most annoying right now is that I've now done enough of those notification things that I get buzzed. Like, so-and-so uploaded a video. And I'm like, oh, you're dead, man. I'm done subscribing to you. So yeah, it rattles your cage every time that they upload something and you're like, oh, I can go enjoy my media. All right. So encoding for YouTube, like I said, substantially the same. All right, so let's talk briefly about Creator Studio, and then I'm gonna show you guys a clip first, though.
One question.
Yes.
You were gonna talk about the 1-pass, 2-pass.
So 1-pass versus 2-pass. Yeah, we can talk about that. You do have, if you choose to do, and this is an option both in Handbrake and obviously in here in Media Encoder, is that you have the notion of VBR, variable bitrate, 1 pass versus 2 pass. So what this means is it will do a first pass to basically build what is called hints about the motion and the changes that are happening in the file or in the video. And so that's used so that it maximizes the encoding when it does its second pass, which is when it actually encodes the video and audio. It doesn't result in any better quality. I mean, unless you up the bit rate, in which case it will result in, but it doesn't result in better quality than a one pass VBR, but it will result in a slightly smaller file size. Okay, so it's really a file size saving technique. It's not a quality technique. Okay, so quality is not determined by whether this is 1 pass or 2 pass. Though I would in general choose variable bitrate, at least choose variable bitrate 1 pass if you're using Adobe Media Encoder. But you'll notice that they've chosen because it's a mobile format, Apple, iPhone, iPad, blah, blah, they basically have said, oh yeah, VBR 2 pass because we want the smallest file possible for the quality that they've chosen. And their target bitrate is comical, 400 kilobits per second. And 600 kilobits per second. But then if you remember that the frame size is, oh God, where is it? Yeah, frame size is 320 by 240. So, okay, yeah. At that, for that size frame, 400 kilobits and 600 kilobits is going to do just fine.
So are we supposed to up those numbers?
No, remember that I had done 3 different presets. So if you look at the 1080p preset, you'll see that it's high and 4.0 variable bitrate, and it says 5 and 6, which I think are too low. That's but again, you can change these, but these are the preset. So if you change them, then it becomes a custom. But it's, there's nothing wrong with that. You can say, I really think that my target bitrate should be 9, and then now notice that your maximum bitrate it can't go below your target, but it can go above it. So you can say, well, and maybe it can go as high as 15. So it's going to try and stay at 9, but if there's some really challenging footage in your video, it has some headroom in the encoding budget to go beyond that bit rate to be able to handle it. So generally your quality will be a little better from that. Now the fact that they're both mid-range for H.264, your quality will probably be okay. You might not be able to detect, depending on the video. I mean, it really does come down to what is the video, what's in the content itself, to determine the best use of this. That's why I like the constant rate factor in Handbrake and FFmpeg is that this is taken care of for you. You don't even have to think about bit rates, because if you set a constant rate factor where you say, I want my quality to be this, that actually determines the file size. And it might be smaller than you think. For very basic content where there's not a lot of variation between frames, and so it will encode it very efficiently, and you might end up with a much smaller file than you would if you encoded it like this. But it's going to look beautiful. It's going to be very, very high quality footage because the encoder has really said, I go on basically a quality metric instead of a speed metric, which is what this is. It kind of correlates into a quality metric when you think of 9 megabits per second. When you look here and you say 9 megabits per second is my quality metric, that's not true. It's your speed metric for how fast you're shoving this through the wire, or how fast you're consuming it in your encoder. That's it. So it does have implications on quality because you can't go above a certain amount based on your content. So just keep that in mind. I know it's a rant, but it's what I do. All right.
Since that exporting
Yes.
it from your Pro, you end up going to Handbrake and then using it from your Pro work file.
So yeah, what I would do, well, so if you wanted to use Handbrake as part of your workflow, what I would do is I would export as either DNX HD or ProRes, and then load that file into Handbrake, and then use that as your input to Handbrake. What's that?
What was the first one?
DNX HD, which is one of those intermediate formats, or ProRes if you're on a Mac. So, and then use that as your output. You could do a ridiculously high quality H.264 encoding, but that would, again, you're saying I'm encoding it once in this final delivery format, but I want you to change it. I want you to re-encode it in a final delivery format. All right. Anyhow, let's talk about YouTube in terms of what goes on for kind of you guys really, it's like hands up if you want it. Yeah, okay, 2 hands up. There you go. So it's not the it's okay. It's actually gotten better in the last year and a half. 2-3 years ago, man, the back end for YouTube for creators to use was Spartan at best, and it's gotten a lot better. So what I want to show you guys is this video of the overuse of YouTube tools. So this is this is somebody who took the same video and re-encoded it and re-uploaded it to YouTube 1,000 times. And each time, this is what YouTube did to it. So it kind of goes, and it moves through this. Actually, it's a brilliantly good edit. And it's only a few minutes, so I'm going to show it to you now.
I'm sitting in a room different from the one you are in now. I'm recording the sound of my speaking voice, as well as the image of myself. And I'm going to upload it to YouTube, rip it from YouTube, and upload it again and again until the original characteristics of both my voice and my image are destroyed. What you will see and hear then are the artifacts inherent in the video codec of both YouTube and the MP4 format I converted to on my computer. I regard this activity not so much as a demonstration of a digital fact, but more as a way to eliminate all human qualities my speech and image might have. I'm sitting in a room different from the one you are in now. I'm recording the sound of my speaking voice, as well as the image of myself. And I'm going to upload it to YouTube, rip it from YouTube, and upload it again and again until the original characteristics of both my voice and my image are destroyed. What you will see and hear then are the artifacts inherent in the video codec of both YouTube and the MP4 format I converted to on my computer. I regard this activity not so much as a demonstration of a digital fact, but more as a way to eliminate all human qualities myself. I'm sitting in a room different from the one you're in now. I'm recording the sound of my speaking.
It gets better. We're almost done. Okay, I think that illustrates what I needed it to illustrate. So what you witness here is the generational degradation of video. When you encode video and then you re-encode that video and you re-encode that video again and again and again. This was obviously done performance art piece, really, but also I think was really interesting, and I remember seeing it. I can't remember if I found this off of Reddit or something other thing. I saw that, I was just like, oh yeah, that's for school. I'm showing people this one. So again, when you work with YouTube's tools, there's a tendency to, oh hey, yeah, I can use YouTube as a bank that I store my video in. And you got to be careful because, usually as a creator, you can pull down the original video that you uploaded, usually. I don't know that they keep it forever, keep it for a while. I know that with Vimeo, when you have an account with them and you upload the file, if it's been a couple years, they've basically pulled the file off, and then you have to request them to put the file back online for you to download. You can access your original content, but it's like not that fast. Okay, it's something that you have to request. Time passes, but Google is kind of famous for, you're not paying for this, so why? So if they feel that, for videos older than X number of months, they might just ditch the original footage, and you're out of luck with having your content there. So you shouldn't look at Google, or you shouldn't look at YouTube as a cloud storage platform for your video content. All right, that was fun. Oh God, no. Okay. Phew. All right. So yeah, let's talk about some of these things. So, well, actually, let's look at. We'll do that in a second. We will do all of these things because it's we got some time. You're still my slaves for at least a little bit more. Nope. Oh, all right. We'll do it this way. So YouTube. And am I ready for long-acting birth control? I think I'm past child rearing. Thanks for asking. So, okay. Man, you can't make this stuff up. Where did YouTube believe that I wanted birth control? Good golly. Hey, look at my analytics. You can tell when I have streams running for class, right? Because that's when all the stuff happens for me. And really, the only content I have on my videos is class lectures these days. So what's that?
5 more subscribers.
5 more subscribers. I know, you guys. I've been like, you guys don't have to subscribe to my. It was funny last year when I did this demo. I had no subscribers, and a couple of students in the room were like, they're like, "Oh man, we're gonna be the first subscribers to Randy's YouTube channel." And I'm like, "Okay, oh man." Randy's Great Adventure in Media. Trust me, I've got other YouTube channels. This is my SRJC YouTube channel, which is desperately, basic. All right. So when you end up in the Creator Studio, it's going to show you kind of this is your heads up view of where your channel's at right now. So yeah, big day for me. New subscriber, right on. Woo. You do have there's a whole analytics, and you can spend pouring over these, talking about how much money you're making on all of your videos. I don't monetize my videos, so I'm not making any money at all on my videos, which is okay because I make money by getting paid from the county to teach you guys. So. But yeah, there's plenty of interesting things in here that you can talk about. This top past live streams. Oh, hey, wow. So my lecture 8, huh? Was that good? I had 6 concurrent viewers. That's my best stream ever. And you can hear it too. That's awesome. All right. So you can spend as much time as you wish there. I'm not going to go into more of that. You do have a list of all your videos, at least your most recent ones. Each of these has the ability to go to the individual stuff. We'll get to that in a second. You can look at all of your videos, which will tell you your likes, your dislikes, your comments, whether it's public or not. And then you know, this one, obviously, all of these are streams, so they all say when they were streamed, at what time. And this is this is last week's lecture. If you have playlists, you can actually set up playlists of all of your classes. I didn't do it with this class. Maybe I'll do it after the class is done, because, you know, whatever. If you want to do live streaming, you actually have to enable this for your account. So if you want to do that sort of stuff, you're absolutely welcome to. The place to do that is under YouTube settings, and you actually can pull in. Oh no, actually, this is how you consume YouTube. Ooh, that's fun. All right, never mind. Let's go back to this. You have a community tab, which is where you'll do your comments. How do I find the live stream? I don't know. Figure it out. Where you have your channel features. Yeah, this is where you can actually enable live streaming right here. So you can enable, see, monetization, not enabled. This is because I love you guys, all right? Because I don't make money from you guys watching my stuff. Because you guys sit in the classroom and watch my stuff. All right. Totally different. Not the same thing. And these, you know, they might be available. Some of these settings are either you know, turned off or disabled because I don't have an AdSense account, or I haven't enabled monetization, or I don't have 1,000 subscribers. I'm looking around. What?
Oh,
what you got?
I just had a question about monetization.
Yeah?
Where does the money go? Because I tried to do that when I made my YouTube videos, and I don't know where.
Well, so what happens is once you reach a certain dollar amount, they will basically, you know, ask you to give them a payment mechanism, whether that's a bank account, PayPal address. I'm not sure where. I've not made a single dollar from YouTube, but that's kind of my intention. I never went into this going, I'm going to corner the market. It's like, you know, I don't do, you know, prank videos. I don't do, you know, I don't do, my tutorials are meh, you know, whatever. They could be entertaining, but yeah. You know, so I generally look at this as, yeah, I don't go into what it would take to monetize this. But generally speaking, it's you're putting ads in front of or in the middle of your videos. Question? Yeah.
I think the ad for YouTube is $100 increments. Yeah.
I believe it does accrue though. No, I don't think that if it's that, because I do have a channel that's like made $28 and it still says that I've made $28, and I'm like, I'll never see that because I'm never really going to go beyond $28. But so yeah, it's like that threshold is $100, and if you never hit $100 in ad revenue, you'll never see money. So yeah.
So it will collect until 100?
That's what I've seen.
It has to hit a certain mark, though.
Yeah, I believe so. I think that it's not one of those things where you'll, oh God, now you make me want to go check. Of course, I'm in the wrong account, and I don't feel like looking at it in another account. Well, I could do it. You guys want to do it? Let's do this. No. Where's my, oh, we'll do it here. So I think this one has, no, not now. Do it later. YouTube. So let's see if it's gonna make me sign in. God, I gotta do this again. Jeez, this is crazy. Yes. It's welcome to my laptop experience. Every time it wants to go through this. So this is how I make quick work of passwords. Now you're telling me the browser couldn't be verified? You guys. Nope. No, that's the wrong one. All right, forget it. Nah, I'm not gonna check it. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, 404. That's an error. But yeah, so I believe that I'll check it, and if I'm lying, I'll cop to it. But generally speaking, I don't, it's not a huge thing. So you also have the ability to set defaults on your account. So anytime you upload, it will automatically, these are presets for whether you want your uploads to be public, private, or unlisted. You can set the category. For me, because this is my JC account, it says education. I do a standard YouTube license. You can do Creative Commons. You can always put in a default title or description or tags. Kind of the hidden thing about tags in YouTube is it is very highly used for search. So when you go searching in YouTube for anything, shout it out. Let me hear it. What do you guys want to see a video of? Cats. Cats playing pianos. So you see all of this: cats playing piano, cats playing ping pong, piano, vine. Those are all keywords. Those are all tags that have been basically dealt with. They're either words in the title or they are words in tags that show up on this. So so that's why there's no word in the title here that says piano. There's playing and piano in the tags for that video because it's the top one. Yes.
Does that work the same as like the description? Or there are words in the description?
Alcon Daily. Oh God, geez, that's loud. All right, so and that's the flip side of running ads in front of your videos. Let me see that. Let me show you. So notice that it has watch keyboard cat meets grumpy cat. Keyboard cat's cool cat in the world. Original video started it all. Keyboard cat videos. iTunes. Buy cool keyboard cat stuff. So nowhere in there does it say pianos or playing. So cats playing pianos. There's tags in this, and there are tools that you can use to actually analyze the tags of any particular YouTube video. I used to care about that. I don't as much now. Mostly I just want, I usually will load my tags with, what happens, what's in the content, different ways of thinking about the content. But you don't put in, what you don't want to do is the same thing you don't do with websites, is you don't put keywords in that have nothing to do with the content. Because that actually can that can come back and bite you pretty hard, because viewers will basically they can basically downvote your content because of the fact that it's inappropriate or not suitable for that search. So you can report things. If I wanted to report this, I could say, well, look at that. Wow, there's lots of cool things in here. Sexual content, violent or repulsive, hateful, harmful. And people control each other by reporting videos that don't actually have these problems. There's a whole YouTube culture that you can enjoy yourselves. Join now and deal with people that want to shut you down because they don't like you. So don't feel bad. I'm not gonna do anything here, but just understand that there are ways to for the community to give feedback saying this is not an appropriate video for that search. So for cats playing piano, apparently this one, keyboard cat wins by a hair over cat playing piano. So cats playing piano. This one says cat playing piano in the title. So that's part of the reason why it's on there. So, all right. So searching is all sorts of fun. Let's go back to the Creator Studio, and as you move down, this will be fun. Woohoo! Look at all you people. How do I give you hearts for joining? Who's Alicia? Oh, Jesus, I don't even know who people are. All right. But anyway, community settings, you can also do, you can have other people that help out with your channel, which again, I don't use on this and are linked by other videos, they can show up here as you were in their video. You have the channel settings like we went through before. You have the ability to kind of set up your channel in terms of featured content. You've got you can put watermarks on your videos. You can also, what else? You can tie a website to it. And actually, this becomes valuable because when you deal with annotations, or basically you want to, if you have a website that you want to connect to your YouTube channel, you do it here. And by doing that, you actually enable the ability to have your videos. You can put a link in your video that clicks off to your website. That's the only way that you can do that. If you don't do it here, you can't do it. Warning. Final exam question. All right, so that's something to understand, is that we'll get to the annotations in a second, because I've got to cover that in order for the final exam to be valid. Woo! Yeah, I'm telling you. So so there's a little bit of additional bits in here. You can actually do transcriptions or translations, subtitling of your videos, and so on. So let's now go to what it takes to do a video. Let's pull up we'll pull up last week's lecture. We'll go to info and settings. When you look at a particular video, you can see that I've really spent a lot of time on my tags. These are the ones that Google puts in for me. For any time I do a Google a YouTube Live Google stream, they will put these tags into the tags. But I do make it public. You guys can find it relatively easily. And if you're subscribers, you get notified. Woo! Randy's on the air. Okay, so what can we? You also have the ability to set languages. You can translate there's nobody's bothered to translate this into Swahili. I'm looking at you, Kayako. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So those are you can actually pay to get professional translations done for your videos. This would be an expensive video. 3-hour video getting it translated. Don't do that. 2-minute video getting translated. Yeah, that probably would cost you $25. We'll see. All right. So let's look at enhancements. If you look at the enhancements tab, what this lets you do is it's kind of a little bit of a, yeah, no, don't have to play it. You can do some basic color work, very basic. You can slow it down or speed it up. You can also do basic trims of your video. So if there's preliminaries that you want to get to, and you'll see that it actually shows you when you mouse over it, you can go up here to fine tune a location in your video. Okay, so if I wanted to go to 10 minutes or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and 30 minutes exactly, you would start here with a course reading of pulling up your time. So that's 30 minutes and 12 seconds. And then you move up here and you kind of go into a fine-grained approach. So now I can kind of get 30 minutes right on the button. So that's one way to select areas for work on this as well. So there is a YouTube video editor. I don't use it much. That's where you can take multiple videos that you've uploaded to YouTube and assemble them into a sequence. It's very rudimentary. It's not going to do a better job than Premiere. I don't suggest that you use it unless you really want to. Audio. Some of the more interesting things about audio here is that you do have the ability, and there is a pretty wide variety of content that you can add to your videos. There's royalty-free music that you can use for free in your YouTube videos. You can also use them for free on any of your videos. I think we talked about this when we were talking about sourcing audio, is that YouTube actually has a library of sound effects and music that you can use, but they can make it, you can actually add them right here in the video editor or in the video settings. Now, the one that I really got to show you guys is the save time and edit like a pro. Who wouldn't want to? We'll skip that. Is that you can do either of two things now. They used to not have end screens, but now they actually are trying to push people to using them. End screens actually are little zones that you start to see them in some of these videos that of regular YouTube content creators are doing. You start to see these where they fly out from the sides at specific times of the video, and they're just a little call to action up at the top that flies out, and if you click on it, then it basically rolls down into a pane on the side of the screen that gives you some options that you can click on. The other part of this is that you have end screen notions of when you get to the end of your video, like if this is 2 hours and 2 hours 12 minutes and 9 seconds into a so this is like 30 seconds of the last 30 seconds of the video, but thumbnail graphics of different videos or links that you want people to be able to click on. So as an example, you can choose a video or playlist. You can put a subscribe button. You can choose a channel, or you can link to an approved website. It has to be an approved website. Now, in this case, you actually have to turn all of these elements on, and I can link to an associated website, which is not enabled. So I can't put any link in there. It's either I can go to merchandise sales for approved retailers, or I can go to crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter or GoFundMe or Indiegogo, any of that stuff but you can link, but it has to be, you can't just link anywhere. And that's the important thing to take away from that. Warning, final exam question. Okay, so the idea of, can you link off of a video? You can, but only to approved destinations. You can't just link anywhere. And so you got to be careful about how you set that up. Now, if you don't want to use end screens, which are kind of the rage right now, and you want to use the old annotations, you have to, oh, look, I guess I don't have to talk about annotations anymore, do I? Because they just ended it a couple weeks ago. Okay. So yeah, guess what, guys? End screens are it. Hooray. Okay. So the idea of being able to add these elements are really restricted. You can't just put, it used to be you could put annotations anywhere in your video. And that had pros and cons, obviously. I usually would play videos with annotations turned off. I want to watch the damn video. I don't want to see all these things popping up on screen saying, buy my stuff. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean that. Or there was all these other kind of weird side things that are distractions, really. They're no better than advertisements in the way that it affects the user experience. So that doesn't surprise me that YouTube just did that. All right, well, great. And as announced in March, so during the semester, they changed the program for me. Great, that's cool. Okay, so now I have to go back and change a final exam question. Damn it! All right, Coleman, you got a question, or are you just checking your hand?
Just check my hand.
Oh, just checking your hand. Okay, I'll put my hand on the top of my head too. So that's good. Well, if you have existing videos with annotations, you can keep them, but you can't create new ones. So if you're going to work with this, you're literally going to be putting end screen elements can only, well, it says here, end screen elements, come on, really? Can only be placed within the last 20 seconds of the video and at least 20 seconds after its beginning. So you have to basically put end elements, or these end screen elements, will go here. You'll see that it's actually put a grid over here. Let me see if I can add any. I can add, so you can choose from most recent, best for viewer, or so yeah, you might say the next best video for you to watch based on what you just saw is this, and you can kind of place that in different spots on the screen. What creators now do, if you'll see in some cases, is they will they'll put a 30-second card at the end of their video. A famous example of this. How many of you? This is going to be fun. How many of you guys have ever watched Hydraulic Press Channel? Nice, 2 of you. All right, cool. So you're in for a treat. Hydraulic Press Channel. So these guys, it's a Finnish dude, and he pronounces things very interestingly. So and of course they have crushing different woods with hydraulic press, crushing fidget spinner with hydraulic press. I mean, it's like they do everything. So
you need a website.
I need a website. You need to shut up. All right. So I'm going to skip this, and then we're going to go to.
Welcome to Hydraulic Press channel. Today we will crush different wood types.
Wood types. Okay.
4 different woods.
Yeah. Well, we're going to fast forward through all of that. So I'm the point of this is that at the end of his videos, this is what he does.
And then the pine tree not recommended. Didn't explode well. Yeah, but I think that is all for today. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. And for today's extra content, we have this birthday cake because my wife has a birthday today. And this cake looks quite harmless, but it can have nasty surprise. So we must deal with it.
We must deal with it. Yes, and so every video they crush a clay thing at the end of the video. Oh, there goes the candle. Oh, the plate. And then they just turn off, and there's your end screen. Okay, and that's how they deal with it. And we're not going to do the autoplay. So at the end of their video, they basically. And usually they'll just turn off the pump, the hydraulic pump. And so it's like they crush it, they just turn off the pump, and it's like it stays there for 15 seconds, and they put up their little watch this next or whatever. So that is one interesting approach to and Hydraulic Press Channel actually created a raft of copycat channels that aren't as entertaining. So there you go. Okay, so what else do I need to show you guys here that makes any sense at all? You can create subscribe buttons. Hey, look, there's Randy's face. You can create, promote some other channel. So you can actually put, if you have another channel that you're working with or you want to promote on there. And then finally, you can link off to another site. So if we wanted to do, I don't know, where could we go? We'll just go to Kickstarter.com. Let's see if it, oh, nope. It's not associated website, merchandise, or crowdfunding site. So actually, you literally have to, it literally has to be one of those in order for it to work. If I had like if I had the santarosa.edu site, we could do that. So, but they could all be, buttons that end up on here. And you can see that they each have a different time that they start. So if I wanted the video from here to show up earlier, but I wanted it to go away before the end, you can now play the video from here, and it shows up and then appears on screen while I'm still talking, and then this video will pop off before the end of the playback. No, I'm gonna leave. That's fine. You do have the ability to do subtitles where you can talk about you can add them yourself or you can purchase them. Usually, ability to do automatic subtitle generation for your videos. I think they don't turn it on for 2.5-hour videos, so no luck there. But you can that's an additional thing that you can add to your videos to increase its usability for all people around the world. Okay, any questions on this? This is the back end of the YouTube creator experience. This is really just scratching the surface of it. Like I said, my channel is not particularly great example of how to set up a YouTube channel because I just do lectures and I stuck them up there and you guys subscribe to it and watch them. So, okay, if that's it, then that's it. So next week, guys, come in with your stuff. It's time to turn it in. Yeah, so give me, like I said, tonight, the exam goes live tomorrow. I may have it go live day after tomorrow because I got to now go in and change something about YouTube annotations. Damn it. See, YouTube messing with my life? All right, get out of here.
I have a 28-minute transfer. Should I just go into the files and see which assets I'm not using to speed it up, or are you going to be here?
I'll be here.
Okay.
Oh, got time.
Did you the homework? Have you created all the homework yet?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
So if it's not showed up, then it doesn't.
it's not showing up because I haven't gotten to it.
No worries.
I'm terrible that way.
Well, I
The
took
worst.
you forever to get
I know,
to.
yeah. Well, I did get yours from last night, so week 13 or something like that. So.
So and then so the length of the video, if I'm doing my own, was between.
Oh yeah, hey, if you guys want to review this, we can talk about this. But this is basically the same content that's on the website. So if you feel strongly, I'll leave it up on the screen. You guys can knock yourselves out. So anyway,
So does the length, like if I'm doing my own, like I know it's.
if you're doing your own, I really don't want it to be very long. I mean, 10 minutes tops.
I mean, it's long anyway, but even like I wouldn't mind. I don't think it would do that. Like it's 3 minutes and up.
Yeah, 3 minutes is about as small as you can
Right.
get and
Okay.
have it do what you need.
Okay.
Okay.
This is on your.
Yeah, it's also on the website. So.
So 3.5 minutes is cool. Mine we thought.
Sure.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. My After Effects is re-encoding. I'll be here about another 15 minutes. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm here until all of you guys aren't here.
All right. So
Yeah.
just letting you know. Don't worry. Because I was having an issue where I couldn't zoom in enough because I was using a spheroize on a satellite image to make a globe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And,
Okay.
and so I realized, but I was using radius to zoom. And I was like, what the fuck? Why can't I get in close enough? I was like, I'm almost there, but just can't get there. And then I exported, and I was trying to match it up with the image in Premiere Pro, but a sphere and a flat image doesn't really mesh too well.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No. So then I started looking it over just after the end of the class, couldn't get it to work, and I realized I was looking things over, and I thought, oh, under transform.